Hello, dear students, and a very good morning to all of you. I hope all of you are fine and utilizing your time productively. Today, I'm back here with the third and the last part of the third chapter of civics, that is the parliamentary form of government. So, students, in the previous two parts, we have learned about the parliament, the functions of the parliament, the composition of the parliament, the two houses of the parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the elections of the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, composition of these houses. We have learned about the President of India, how the President of India is elected, and the functions of the President of India. In this part, we are going to cover the remaining topics of this chapter. So let's have a look on the content first. What before starting the chapter? So the contents are the Vice President of India, the functions of the Vice President, the Prime Minister of India, functions of the Prime Minister, the Council of Ministers, and functions of the ministers, and at last we will see the bureaucracy in India. Okay, so let's get started with the first topic, that is the Vice President of India. So students, Vice President, as it is clear by the name only, Vice President is there to assist the President of India. So, the Vice President of India is the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. As I have explained you in the Rajya Sabha part also, that the chairman of the Rajya Sabha is the Vice President of India. One person shares two responsibility. The first is the chairman of the Rajya Sabha and the second is the Vice President of India. Next, he or she acts as a president when the president is unable to carry out his or her function. So basically, the vice president is there to carry out the activities when the president is not able to carry out his functions. The vice president is elected exactly like the president of Rajya Sabha, the members of the Rajya Sabha, and the president of the country. Like that only, the vice president is also elected, and the vice president is also elected by an electoral college, but in his electoral college, the only the house of, or we can say that the members of both the parliaments participate. We will see it later. He is also elected as the president of India by proportional representation of single transferable vote. So if the question arises that which officials, or we can say that which political leaders of India or which executives of India can be elected by the single transferable vote, so your answer will be the members of the Rajya Sabha, the President of India, and the Vice President of India. But in the electoral college of the Vice President of India, it is bit different. In his electoral college, only the members of the parliament, that is both the houses, MPs, participates. So the current Vice President of India is Shri M. Venkaiah Naidu. Now let's have a look what are the qualifications to become the Vice President of India. So first of all, the person has to be citizen of India. The age for the Vice President of India is 35. That means a person should be of 35 years for becoming the Vice President of India. As we have learned for the President also, the age for both President and Vice President will be 35 only. The now the vice president, or the person who wants to become the vice president, is to be qualified for election as a member of Rajya Sabha. He can become a member of Rajya Sabha, then only he will become the chairman of Rajya Sabha. And he shouldn't hold any office of profit under government of India. He should not have any government official, and basically he or she should not be bankrupt or mentally unsound. Now let's have a look what is the composition of the electoral college of the vice president of India. As we are knowing that vice president is elected, or we can say that is indirectly elected by the members of the electoral college, in which only few MPs are there. Okay, so basically in the election of the vice president, only MPs, that means the ministers of both the houses of the parliament, participates, and this is the election is done by the method of single transferable vote. Now let's have a look on the powers of the vice president. The Vice President of India basically performs two functions. The first is he takes over the office of President in the following cases. As we have learned, the major function of the Vice President of India is to take over the office of President when President is not able to work. So basically, if there's death of the President, resignation of the President, removal or impeachment of the President, when President is unable to discharge his duties owing to absence, illness or any other causes. If the President is anyhow not able to manage his functions, so in place of President, the Vice President will function. So now the question arises, if the Vice President started acting as the President of India, then who will act as the chairman of Rajya Sabha? For that only the deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha is appointed. It means when the vice president take over the office of the president, then the deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha heads the Rajya Sabha. Okay. So basically, if the president is not there, the vice president will take his place, and the Rajya Sabha's chairman place is empty. So it will be taken by the deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha. Now the next power is the Vice President is the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. So, Vice President is also the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. That means he has to also follow the functions of the Rajya Sabha. So, he regulates proceedings and debates of the Rajya Sabha house. He is the leader of that house, so he will take care of the proceedings of that house. He decides the order of a speech, who has to speech. Have you seen the speeches of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha? There is a person who is sitting in the middle, so he only allow the persons to speak, he only allow the persons to shut their mouth. So next is he may adjourn or suspend the business of the house. Okay. He decides the admissibility of resolutions and or questions. He will only decide that which type of questions. That means he will manage the proceedings of the Rajya Sabha house. Okay. So now let's have a look on the Prime Minister of India. So students, the Prime Minister of India, as we are knowing, that the prime minister is the leader of the majority party which forms the government. Okay. So basically the prime minister is the leader of the country, or he is the real head of the country, because he is only responsible for the working of the government in a country, and his council of minister assist him or her during his work. He or she works in accordance with the council of ministers. So who is the current prime minister of India? It is very familiar question. So the current Prime Minister of India is Mr. Narendra Modi. Now let's have a look how the Prime Minister is elected. I have already explained you, but let's revise it once again. So basically, as we are knowing that the Prime Minister of India is the leader of the Lok Sabha, and so for that the elections of the Lok Sabha is important. So the members of the Lok Sabha are elected directly by the people. Like that only the Prime Minister is also elected directly by the people. Now the elections of the Prime Minister are held at regular intervals of 5 years. A Prime Minister can work for the term of 5 years. After 5 years, new fresh elections will take place, and if the same government will or party will form the government, so that party will decide that who will become the prime minister of that country. So as we are knowing that India is a very large nation, so for that purpose the whole country is divided into number of constituencies. As we are knowing that this time there are total 543 members in the Lok Sabha. So that is why our country India will be divided or is divided into 543 constituencies. Okay. So the election procedure take place, and whatever party will win the election or get the majority of seats, that will form the government. Now the leader of the majority party will become the prime minister. So the party that forms the government, the leader of that party becomes the prime minister. So the prime minister is the most important political institution, as he is the chief of the ruling government. The Prime Minister of India also acts as the chief advisor of the president. He or she is the head of the council of ministers also, who assist him or her in governing the country. The PM is appointed by the president of the country. As we have learned, the majority party that win the election forms the government. So PM is the leader of the majority party. He selects the Council of Ministers for working of the government. He heads all the cabinet meetings and also allocates portfolios to every minister. Okay, with the help of the Council of Ministers, the PM established coordination in all the departments. He supervises the work of every minister and check out their fields that they are doing their work properly or not. The Prime Minister aids and advises the Council of Ministers to work efficiently. Okay, so the PM has the power to dismiss the minister of his Council of Ministry also if he found that any minister is not working properly. Now, in the case when a PM of the country resigns, his Council of Ministers should also resign with him or her. As we have learned the no confidence motion, so whenever the opposition party files no confidence motion against the ruling party and the ruling party was not able to put his her the points clear, in that situation the government should be dissolved, and if the prime minister resigns, her whole ministry should resign. Okay, so the cabinet minister and the council of minister will resign together. The cabinet ministers sit along with the prime minister in the parliament during the sessions and answer the questions on the issues concerned with the development and welfare of the citizens of the country. As we are knowing, the Prime Minister of India also represents the nation in foreign delegation, high level meetings, and international organizations. As you might have watched in news many times, that the Prime Minister went for many foreign tours for enabling good relation with the foreign embassies. Okay, so basically this is only, and the Prime Minister is also the head of all the in national organizations that work for the Niti Aayog, which is instrumental in the economic advancement of the country. The Prime Minister can use his or her special powers over the disposal of national funds. Okay, so basically the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund, like this time our country is suffering from an epidemic, and during this time the Prime Minister can use his fund or the relief fund for the welfare of the people. Okay, so basically the National Defense Fund, this fund is provided to provide relief to the families those who killed in natural calamities like floods, cyclones, and earthquakes. As many times we have watched or listened about this also, that Prime Minister has allocated this much of fund to this state for fighting with flood, or allocated this much fund to this state for fighting with earthquake. And this time also our prime minister is using his fund or the national relief fund for fighting with the corona epidemic in every state. Okay, now let's have a look on the council of ministers. So basically the council of minister is a body which includes all the ministers, those who assist the prime minister for governing the country. It is the decision making body of the ruling government, as we have learned in the state legislature also, that chief minister is assisted by his council of ministers for administering the state. These council of ministers are selected by the prime minister, and he or she is free to choose his or her council of ministers. Now, like the appointments of the prime minister, the council of ministers are also appointed by the president of the country. Okay, now from where these ministers belong to? So the council of ministers are the members of the parliament. Okay, and helps in the lawmaking process of the country. A minister can be a member of either of the house of the parliament, whether it is Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. In case if a minister does not belong to any of the house, he has to become a member of any of the house within the period of 6 months after becoming the minister. The Council of Ministers make laws and policies for the country, allocates and decides fund, okay, allocated for various departments. So now the Council of Ministers have three categories. The first is cabinet ministers, the next is minister of states with independent charge, and the next is Minister of States. These cabinet ministers, we can say that these ministers are basically responsible for different departments that is known as portfolios like defense, finance, industry, agriculture, and railways. Okay, so the cabinet ministers are having independent in charges of different departments in the country like railways, defense, finance, industry, agriculture. Like we have railway minister, we have finance minister, we have agriculture minister, we have defense minister. Okay, so they are in charge or the independent in charge of this. Now, next is the Minister of State with independent in charge. These ministers are in charge of smaller ministries. Okay, they assist the cabinet ministers. The last is the Minister of States. So, the work of the Minister of the State is to assist the cabinet meetings. Okay, with the cabinet ministers, and their work is to assist the ministers of state with independent charges also. Now, let's have a look. These all or the Council of Minister and the Prime Minister work as a team on the principle of collective responsibility. Now, what is the meaning of the collective responsibility? That means all of them are collectively responsible for taking any decision. They are jointly responsible to the Parliament for any decision taken by them. This means if one minister loses the faith of the opposition due to some reason, the opposition can initiate a no confidence motion against the government. If the government fails to defend the motion, the entire Council of Ministers have to resign. So let's have a look on the collective responsibility. What are the points? So the decision of cabinet is binding on all the members of the Council of Ministers. The ministers who don't agree to the decision of the must resign. In case a vote of no confidence against one minister, the entire ministry resigns. So let's have a look on the first one. Decisions are binding on all cabinet and junior ministers. If any decision is being taken by the Council of Ministers with the Prime Minister, that means that decision is the decision of the whole cabinet. The whole cabinet is responsible to the Parliament for taking that decision. The next is minister who disagree must resign. Now, the minister who disagree and do not ready for the teamwork, he has to leave the council and he has to resign. Next is in case the opposition party files the no confidence motion against the ruling party or against any of the minister and initiate a no confidence motion, and if the government fails to defend that motion, that means the entire council of ministers will have to resign. It means if the prime minister also resigning, that means whole council of ministers should resign with the prime minister. Okay, this is all regarding to the council of ministers, prime minister, and the vice president. Now we are having one more department, that is the bureaucracy. So students, bureaucracy is the most important, we can say that organization or a body or the bureaucrats are the most important officials in the country like India. So it is the body of the non-electing government officials. These are the non-electing government officials, those who qualified the competitive exams and became the government officials to work for the government. So, who are these bureaucrats? These bureaucrats are the civil servants like IPS, IAS, IFS, IRS. So, these are the civil servants who work for the implementation of the laws in assistance with the government. A gov- what is the responsibility of the bureaucrats? These bureaucrats do not belong to any political party or they do not belong to any group. They are basically the independent, non-electing government officials, those who work for the implementation or who assist the government for implementation of their programs. Okay, the bureaucracy does not take any political positions on political matters. They help in drafting the policies and their implementation. What is the work of the bureaucrats? They have to check out the how to implement. The government cannot implement the plan in each and every place. So, what is the work of the bureaucrats? To check out that the plans are being implemented in each and every part of the country and the allocated fund by the government is using properly. So the function of the bureaucrats is to maintain the records that whatever amount is spending in which department. So this is all in this chapter. This chapter is now finished, and I hope you all are able to understand well. In case if you are facing any problem, then you can ask me to the comment box or through the WhatsApp group. So this is all for today, students. Thank you.